What are you? This is 2 in a row for you, Jason.
I know.
Right? Like,
You're working me to the bone.
at this rate, you're going to be talking into a microphone just all day for a living or some bullshit like that, right?
God, I've already said everything I have to say.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult when we get to the beginning of these shows where we have to, jaw about like what we've been doing because all we've been doing is this.
Yeah. It's like, hey, remember that dojo we recorded?
Oh, that was
yesterday?
hilarious!
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Basketball.
But you know what? We can't just have you and I again. So we brought in a ringer all the way from the award-winning show Sparkle Fandango. It's Allison Murphy.
Hey guys.
What's going on, Allison?
My husband leaves a lot and he goes and talks into a microphone. That's basically what is happening.
God, make it sound like I'm an absentee husband.
Pretty much.
It kind of makes it sound a little dirty. He goes that he talks into a microphone.
all the time.
Sometimes it is dirty.
It's actually funny. Allison is wearing this green shirt today, and when I look over, I've got a green screen right behind her, so you kind of camouflage. You're kind of just a floating head to me today.
Dude, let's record a Sparkle Fandango in this sweater, and then we can have a bunch of people that are like, oh my God, floating head.
Well, we tried. There was the one episode where Kayla had
Oh, that was a bad call.
her face painted green, and then we played the game with all the darkness, and
It looked like she was hosting a minstrel show.
It didn't even occur to me until the first person commented, and then I was just like, "Oh no, what?"
It should have been Katamari or something like that. Would have just been like bananas.
Yeah. So let's see. Everybody knows Jason and I. We've just been playing basketball games all week. Allison, what have you been up to this week?
I have been temping.
Okay, well, that sounds like shit.
Oh my God, it is so terrible. I have to wear the work wig.
Oh right, yep. Like
Yeah.
you're a professional individual.
I have to wear the business casual wig, and I have discovered a really interesting thing that I'm super fascinated with, and I have called it business beard.
Okay.
And
What is that? You posted something about that on
business
Facebook.
beard is
What is
when,
business beard?
Because the beards are a thing now. Beards
Right.
are the thing.
Right.
Beards are what cool dudes put on their face.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what really cool dudes put on their face?
Aftershave.
Vagina.
Oh. You just wear it.
This.
Okay, that's going into a really bad place. Continue with the business beards, Allison.
So dudes the beard is is a trendy thing.
Okay.
And so all these really super boring yuppies who are working like IT or they're engineers or whatever started to have beards.
Okay.
But they can't do like super cool hipster beards. So they have business beards, which are just like, I have a beard.
Right.
And it's trimmed up a whole lot so I can get away with it.
Shorter than mine? About the same. I got a business beard,
you have a
don't I?
beard-
I got
you have a business beard.
I got the business beard.
Well, for when you go into the office.
Sure,
Which
my
is-
boss gives me shit otherwise. He's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
fucking cut your face, you damn hippie. Or wait,
Cut your face.
well, it's something like that. I don't know, something like that.
But yeah, business beards. I've started to like keep track of every of these like financial places where I've been temping.
When you were posting about that on Facebook, I thought you meant because you were temping at a construction place, and I thought you were saying that business beard was he's in construction and he's gay, so he's got this like quote unquote wife
Right.
that comes in.
That's his business beard.
Yeah.
right.
beard.
Okay. I actually read there was somebody that wrote something that was going around a few weeks ago about like it was this woman who wrote an editorial that was, "Hey, all you assholes, cut your beards off because I can't tell who the real men are anymore." Because it used to be right before beards were popular.
Right.
You see some dude with a beard out there, you could probably assume that he's taking his car apart and chopping wood
It's
and
in ZZ Top,
Right.
maybe, or the
in
Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah, or he's in glam metal, or well, no, not glam metal,
Or he like
regular
Viking metal.
Viking metal,
or
yeah,
Yeah.
talks about blowing up government buildings.
something, whatever. And that now all these hipsters all have beards, and this lady can't tell who's a pussy anymore.
Yeah, you actually can.
Yeah.
You still can.
Well, you just
There are
talk to them
ways.
for 5 minutes, I would think.
Sure.
Are they wearing an Arcade Fire T-shirt? I'm not going to say anything super bad about Arcade Fire, but
No,
you know.
but
I if you need help, woman that Jeff is talking about, identifying hipsters, I have a book that will be published soon called The Guide to Hunting Hipsters for Fun and Sport.
is Rutger Hauer in it?
Nobody should be. That's
What?
a great idea.
Put Rutger Hauer in your book. He was in
Why?
that movie, right?
What are you talking about?
Ice T, Ice Cube.
Probably. That sounds like a
Most dangerous
game.
This guy gets kidnapped, and then a bunch of rich dudes are hunting him, and then he turns the tables on it. I don't remember. It came out in the 90s.
Yeah,
I thought Rutger Hauer was in it.
Probably.
Maybe?
Probably.
I know what you're talking
It was
about.
dog shit in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was dog shit in the 90s. Rutger Hauer's probably in it.
I'll look it
He
up.
was a homeless dude.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, come, we'll give you a snack and some
And some
good socks."
smokes.
Come to this. Whoa, that's Rutger Hauer's actual website.
He has a website?
Yeah.
Is it tearsintherain.com?
Oh my God. Okay, so this would be Surviving the Game.
Oh,
Surviving the
right.
Game.
That's what it is. Ice-T
that Gary
and Rutger
Busey?
Hauer. Yeah, yeah.
He was getting hunted by Gary Busey?
Yeah, Gary Busey.
That is scary.
Gary Busey and Rutger Hauer were hunting Ice-T. Have you not seen this movie?
No, because
haven't.
it looks like shit.
I've seen it.
How is it?
It's one of those movies.
Okay.
Whatever.
But then when I was also reading,
Can you imagine that? It's just like you're running through a mall or something. I'm being hunted by Rutger Hauer and Gary Busey.
yeah, nobody would help you. They'd all be,
No, they'd be like, "Oh, ha ha ha, funny homeless man.
get away
Here's
from me. Yeah.
23 cents."
But when I was reading this lady also mentioned that apparently there's like there's a thing online people are buying like beard oils and
Yes.
conditioners to
Yeah.
make their beard like super fluffy. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Why would you even do that?
Jeff doesn't even use soap.
That's
yeah.
a total chick thing to do.
Actually, I don't use shampoo. I just use soap.
Do you really?
Yeah. I don't
Seriously?
I don't use shaving cream. I just soap up my face and then shave it.
And you wash like the hair on your head, you use like soap
Yeah.
that you use in your body?
Yeah.
That's fucking weird, dude.
Why?
Wait, is it like a creamy soap, or do you just rub like a bar of
You
soap
rub
on
the
your
bar
head?
on your hands and then you put the suds in your hair.
Oh, the
Oh my
mark of the
God.
bachelor that has given up.
Yep.
Well, it's not exactly. I'm not rocking Fabio locks here. It's not like this shit is gonna ever look super good.
Well, not now. You know why? Because you've been washing your hair with a fucking bar of soap.
What's the difference? It's all
Maybe you would have a
soap.
full head of hair if you'd use shampoo and
I'm not
conditioner.
using lava.
It's 2014, Jeff.
This coming from the man who uses 2 different kinds of soap per day.
Tell me about your
So-
loofah, Jason.
I don't have a loofah, although I was thinking last night I need one for the body wash.
for the hard to reach for the peach scented body wash. Obviously,
It's not peach scented. It's very manly.
It is.
Lone Star scented,
It
That's
is.
beer scented body
well,
wash.
that's an accident. It's not body wash. That's what my body
It's Old Spice.
releases.
you get
It's Old Spice body wash so that he smells
Good
like
shit
a
too. And if I wasn't married,
magical pirate.
God, bitches be falling out of the sky.
were you like drawn in by Old Spice's new commercials, their campaign of just like we're all crazy here, buy Old Spice, I guess, or whatever.
I love it. They're just like, hey, let's do the Adult Swim Tim and Eric surrealist
Yeah,
thing.
who cares? We're selling Old Spice.
Yeah.
We're locked in. We got everybody that's above 50 currently. Let's go for the younger audience.
Whatever happened to the Old Spice guy?
No.
The first one. I'm on a horse.
Oh, that guy's still doing.
Is he still doing
I
it?
thought Terry Crews was the first Old Spice guy.
Was he? I don't know.
That guy came second.
Oh, well, okay.
I just
Okay.
remember the commercial that had
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell singing Duran Duran. That was
Yeah.
my favorite Old Spice commercial of all time.
No, there are certain scents that smell really sexy, and Old Spice is one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Old Spice Snuggle fabric softener.
Uh-huh.
The old school Snuggle, not the new school Snuggle. Old school Snuggle. Motor oil.
Right.
Motor oil.
Motor oil smells
I never
really
come in contact with
sexy.
that, ever.
No.
Nope.
I probably couldn't even identify it in a
You know what
lineup.
we should do is we should develop a Rage Select cologne.
Oh my
that
God.
smells like Old Spice motor oil and
No.
Snuggle.
Like
Yeah.
a line of colognes,
Yeah.
and
Motor
then name
oil.
them. Yeah.
And it's actually just motor oil.
It's just
I mean,
motor-
why do we have to do R&D and
Sure.
develop stuff?
No.
It's
Just
like
repackage.
Smear some 10W40 on your face and then
Yeah.
wash it off when you're done.
here's some
Yeah.
cologne or some body spray. It's actually just 30 weight.
Have you? Jason? Do you go cologne shopping?
No, I don't wear any cologne.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, one time I went to a cologne store, and as a smoker, it was the most confusing experience of my life.
It just all smelled the same.
Well, there was just this lady, and she would spray this stuff on a little card, and she would be like, how does this one smell? And I'm like, it smells like all the rest of them. It smells fruity, and I don't understand. And she's like, well, this one has hints of coconut. And I'm like, if you
Like
say
it's a
so.
fucking wine or something?
Yeah.
Hints of blah. Shut up.
No, that's really good.
What?
I will go with you
hints of
anytime
coconut?
you want
To the perfume store?
to the perfume store.
Great.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
my
you know what?
favorite.
You know what that makes you, Jeff?
What's that?
My wife's gay friend.
Yeah. Shit. I'm just going to lean into it.
So rage. Okay, so my natural scent of whiskey, cigarettes, and Irish Spring.
Right.
It's not hitting any of the buttons, is what you're telling me.
Holy shit, for me, it's just cigarettes and Lone Star and Irish Spring.
Yeah. Hey.
So
there you go.
I'm just funking the
There you
place up with
go.
a lot of. Dude, what is it? Why
What would
does-
Rage Select cologne smell like, though?
sadness?
Desperation.
Disdain. Disdain and
Anger.
Lone Star,
That's
which
right.
I am drinking right now. Why aren't you motherfuckers sponsoring us?
That's right. You know what we
already?
should do is we should get the microphones and we should take the little guard off the microphones.
No.
And swab out what's on the inside of the microphones that Kayla's always complaining about.
Oh no!
It's spit coming coffee and
Yep.
nicotine and beer and everything bad that smells shitty in your mouth
Panda Express.
all in.
yeah, every now and then I catch a whiff of it, and god damn, it's foul.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how to solve it. Man, if I take these off and Febreze them, is it going to mess up the sound, or
Yeah.
Maybe.
we're all going to be
Just
high
give
pitched
up.
and helium from
It'll
now
bring
on?
a fresher sound.
I guess.
Just, yeah.
Well, you know what, guys? We've got a lot of news to go over. We've got some news to go over. So let's just get right into it. The first news story is actually, I don't know if you guys have seen this already, but apparently Microsoft and Machinima were offering people a higher CPM, which is the basically how much you get paid per 1,000 clicks on YouTube, if they made Xbox One videos. Which, you know, at its core, in and of itself, is not like, you know, this is doing a promotion type of thing. But there's some language a little further down in their contract that basically says, to qualify for the campaign, Machinima partners had to post a video, 30 seconds of Xbox One, okay, blah, blah, blah. They weren't allowed to say that they were getting paid by Microsoft, and they also said they may not say anything disparaging about Machinima, Xbox One, or any of its games.
I was about to say, hey, we could do that. Oh, no, we can't.
And actually, there was a similar story that I was looking at that came out where EA is doing a similar thing, where they're offering people, essentially, Let's Players more money to play their games, but like, you know, you play Battlefield 4, you can't say anything about how shitty and buggy Battlefield 4 is if you want to get this bonus.
And if Battlefield happens to crash while you're playing it,
Right.
you don't get paid for that one.
You got to cut that part out. You just
Yeah.
go, oh no, my cat was on the refrigerator. I had to stop it. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? There's kind of a thing in the industry about the idea of games journalists being paid off with swag by developers to give their games a higher score, stuff like that.
Yeah, but
I don't
this
really
is
know
like
if it's
Machinima Let's Play stuff. It's not like the high watermark of the Fourth Estate.
Well, it
I think-
sounds kind of like the oldest profession known to man to me.
prostitution.
That's right. It sounds kind of a little bit like you're letting Microsoft put their dick in you for money.
Uh-huh.
That's just my opinion.
Well, it's not like you have any sort of like credibility or an integrity to protect. You know, it's like if they want to pay us, why would they? They wouldn't, because we say horrible shit about the Xbox One all the time.
I don't think we could keep ourselves. I don't think we could stick to this contract. We just have like 20 minutes of every Let's Play. It's just boo. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the other thing about Microsoft, boo. You know, just the entire
We'll take
time.
our money now.
All right, that was over 4 minutes. You
Yeah.
owe us money.
I don't have any problem with it. It's not like they're buying off reviewers, but shit, that happens too. So
I just think that they need to be. I think it needs to be more upfront. Like they offered this and they deleted their tweets. They have specific language in their contract saying you can't talk about this deal or the specifics of it.
really,
Yeah, it's so. I think that if somebody wants to get paid more, I think that the people need to know that they are getting paid.
sure, yeah.
because it does hit your credibility a little bit if you're under contract to not disparage anybody.
Yeah, I guess somebody big could sell out
Yeah,
easily, which we're not big, but shit.
we don't have anything to sell.
yeah.
I don't know. That's one of the nice things about Rage Select is that we're so small. It's not like anybody's coming to us like, "Hey, give Aliens Colonial Marines a high score." We're like, What?
I don't know that I could do that. There'd have to be a lot of zeros on that fucking check.
Could you do it? How much? Kobayashi Murfuit. How much to sell out for a good review for a game you knew was really shitty?
Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Right.
How much would they?
Like something that's going to be obvious where everybody's going to be like, Jason got paid.
$10,000.
$10,000?
$10,000?
Yeah.
For your entire credibility.
Yeah, fuck
You'd have
it.
no more credibility ever
I
again.
don't have any credibility anyway.
You have some credibility.
I don't have any credibility.
I don't know. Allison, how about your
$1 million.
$1 million?
$1 million.
I need $1 million.
Somebody offers you $100,000 to give a good review of a bad game, and you turn it down. We're gonna have a talk, woman. Somebody's gonna be sleeping on the fucking couch.
You know what? And fine, it'll be a beautiful, very lovely, luxurious couch that I bought
with your integrity.
What are you gonna? You guys are gonna do like the odd? You're gonna put
I'm
a
saying,
line down the middle of your place, and
I'm saying if you turn down $100,000 for it, for like a good review, I would be pissed. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you could just be pissed then because I need $1 million.
No. I mean, I'm saying, $1 million's great, but if someone said $100,000 and you said no, I won't settle for anything less than $1 million.
Okay, what?
That's what I'm saying.
Can I go back and forth with them? Can I be like
no haggling?
150?
No haggling.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah,
and
100,000.
God damn it, no.
See, that's why I would be pissed because yes.
Well, then I can be the spouse with integrity, and you can take the $100,000 and buy me a really nice couch.
That doesn't work.
For you to
Nobody buys that as me as the one with integrity.
They really don't.
Nobody
really
buys
shouldn't.
that.
They do. Okay. All right. So I don't know. I mean, I think that going ahead, you're seeing so much of this Let's Play stuff start to become bigger that this is something to keep an eye on. Because if they just start, it would be a relatively low investment for most game companies to essentially just buy off as many Let's Players as they could and say, we'll give you an extra $100 per
free
video
game
and a free game, but you can't talk any shit about our shit.
Yeah.
But you can't just not talk shit about that particular game. You can't talk shit about any of their games ever.
Well, and in the case of the Xbox One, I mean, it's kind of I think it's in order to qualify, you have to. Or you can't talk shit about it at all.
I'm more afraid of getting in bed with EA.
Yeah.
Because that contract is writ in blood and brought to you by imps who are clouded with brimstone.
Charlize Theron.
Don't they just
Charlize Theron?
Don't they just send one of those little phantasm balls to your house to just hover there
Drones.
and wait for you to say anything about EA?
Exactly.
Like when you say the word EA, it perks up and it starts like pointing at you, and you're just like, they're the best. I love them.
Yeah.
So, SimCity was a masterpiece. It was the greatest game I've ever played.
If you say anything negative about SimCity, your cerebral fluids will be drained by the ball with the drill bit on the end.
Would you rather the ball from Phantasm shows up to enforce that, or the tall man? Which would you rather have hanging out in your house 24 hours a day?
The ball.
The ball?
I've seen the movie enough. I could probably take care of the ball.
You could probably get okay.
I know how to defeat the ball.
Okay.
Tall man though, he doesn't operate by the same rules.
All right. Fair enough. So yeah, I don't know. It was kind of a weird story, and I don't see where they're really making a lot of friends with that. Speaking of people who are not making friends,
these motherfuckers.
The guys at Candy Crush have brought a lawsuit. Candy Crush Saga brought a lawsuit against the folks over at Stoic for the banner saga, for the use of the word saga. Yet another check mark in the long upstanding tradition of game companies trademarking dumb shit. Bethesda.
Yeah, that hurts me. Bethesda.
Scrolls.
Oh,
terrible.
man, how could you?
Yeah.
How could you, Bethesda?
The guy that made Minecraft, his next game was going to be called Scrolls. And Bethesda was like, no, that's ours. That's our word.
Yeah, this is really... So these people... I've heard that they've also trademarked candy.
Oh, yeah. That's the next part of the story.
So, okay, well, go ahead and talk about our folks over at Banner Saga.
Well, the only thing that some people pointed out in the comments, and this does make sense, is that they have come out since this came out, and I don't know if they did it because of the negative press, or it was always their intention, and said, like, we're not going to pursue this, but some of the people had said that this is one of those cases where it's like, you've got to at least make an effort to protect your trademark, because in and I'm not a lawyer and I don't know, I can't say this, but I know that there is a precedent where if you just let people walk all over your trademark for a while and then somebody does something really heinous and you go after them, you've set a precedent of letting your trademark be monkeyed around with, and that you don't get to come and pick and choose, that you have to protect your trademark every time it comes up. So it's possible that this lawsuit could have just been, we have to file a lawsuit. We're not going to, we're not going to pursue it, but you have to show that you're trying to protect it, because I'm sure that Candy Crush Saga, I've never played it. I understand it's a match 3 game, but I'm sure that there are a billion fucking ripoffs of this shit. If somebody ever did honestly rip them off, you don't want to be in a position where you say, well, you didn't go after Stoic, you weren't protecting your trademark, so these guys get to just fuck you with their ripoff of your successful game.
Okay, well, let's hope that's the case. Because
we're planning on going today and talking. We're planning on going to hang out with the folks from Stoic. So maybe we can slip that in the conversation once they're nice and drunk.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come up freely.
Yeah.
It's been mentioned to me via text messages from some of those guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Making sure that we knew about it and if we had read the hullabaloo about it and everything. But yeah, I mean, at first it comes off. I really hope that what they're saying is true, and that it's not just corporate bullying, because Candy Crush and King has a hell of a lot more money than Stoic.
Yeah.
And that is the way that the American legal system works, and the American everything else works, is that it's a plutocracy. Mm-hmm. And if you've got the money, rules don't apply to you, and you can bully the little guy out of business or into jail or whatever.
They're two completely different games.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them is for people who like rich storytelling and strategy-based gameplay, and the other one is for goddamn mongoloid soccer moms.
See, I thought you were going to go with the joke of one was for that, and then the other one is about Vikings. Anyway.
No.
Yeah. No, and so here's the thing about anything entertainment-based. If you are going after little dudes because your product is, and threatened in some way, I get that.
And threatened, that's a word.
And
we're making it a word. I'm totally in
who's sleeping on the couch tonight? No, but if you're legitimately threatened, I have no problem with you pursuing that. But I kind of, on the other hand, want to say just come out with better shit. Like if somebody steals your shit and reverse markets it and makes a knockoff, whatever, just come out with other shit.
I think that we've been over before how I honestly think that the copyright and trademark laws in the United States are fucking bananas and broken and messed up in a lot of different ways.
They're not completely bad, but they are fucked up.
They're just very much skewed towards the creator,
corporations,
towards the person who created it originally,
towards the corporations
or the corporations. But I do think that when you come to that, the threat to something like Candy Crush Saga is probably way higher than it is to Skyrim, because you've seen there have been mobile games where some developer over in Latveria, rips off half of the Angry Birds assets and then makes their own, essentially just Angry Birds clone and sells it for $1, and they've already made their money in the time that it takes for them to submit you fucked us and shut them down, and then they're in some other country so you can't get at them.
Right.
So I do think that King deserves to make the money on their product.
Sure.
But this is stupid. The Banner Saga thing, that's pretty stupid.
But so if the people in Latveria, I don't think that's a country.
It is very much a country.
Rules there.
Yeah.
But they decide they're going to make a knockoff and people play that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a gap in the market, right? Those people either wanted to play more Candy Crush, so they needed another product.
Yeah.
Or Candy Crush didn't get them in some way, and so this other knockoff got them, engaged them in some way. And so that, as a creator, would tell me more about what I needed to do than what those people were doing wrong.
There's still people stealing your shit, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a gap, and that happens. People reverse engineer and steal shit all the time. That indicates a gap in the market more than.
Yeah, I agree. The other part of this is what we were talking about, where Candy Crush or King is also trying to trademark candy, and they have. And now we're at the point where it's 30 days where people can bring up their objections to it. And one place, I don't think I actually have the story up here, but one group of folks, I need to find out who it was. You guys can look it up, put it in the comments or whatever. A group of developers and game folks have put together a game jam specifically to make games with the name Candy,
yes,
Saga, Scrolls, and Edge. I don't know if you know about Edge, but there's that one guy, that one asshole who's been trying to keep Edge under, like, it's me and my game that never came out for like the last 15 years. And I think that's great.
I dig it. Yeah, power to the people.
Yeah, make it. Like, make so many that they can't stop you. Make it so many that it will bankrupt themselves, getting lawyers to write subpoenas to people who have like $12 and live in a studio apartment in Portland or whatever.
The Scroll of
us.
Candy Crush Edition.
That's right.
That's us. We should just name every single thing that comes out on Rage Select now Candy something.
Oh, shit. Oh, God, I might actually do that. I might do that this weekend. Anyway, yeah, I think that's great. I also think that, like I said, the copyright and trademarking system in this country is fucked up, and this is the fact that this is even where it is now is, to me, more indicative of the fact the system is fucked up than it is of these guys' nefarious mustache twirling intent to be assholes. I mean, Bethesda got away with it. They bullied Notch out of not making Scrolls. Or I think they did, didn't they?
I don't know. I think maybe. Okay. I think Notch should have just said, "Okay, guess what? I just bought Bethesda. Fuck you, Minecraft money, son."
That was before he had the Minecraft money, though, right?
I don't know.
Scrolls.
Is it happening?
I think it's already. Is it already out? Okay, I don't know enough.
Yeah, I haven't.
I don't know enough.
Heard much about it.
There's a picture of a Santa
in battle armor.
Battle armor.
Yeah,
Okay, we got to check that out at some
point. Yeah, I didn't know if that ever came out or not, but yeah, I really hope that King is good to their word and like, hey, we're just doing this just because we kind of have to, and because there are probably a lot of Candy Crush Saga ripoffs.
Yeah.
So
Crimea River. Some corporate motherfucker didn't get to put in 2 pools on his property. Go fuck yourself.
What is it we taught Spider-Man Murphy to say? Fuck the man.
Fuck the man. Like, good job, son. All right. Well, speaking of fucking the man and people with way too much money, this is just a little update. Star Citizen is now at $37 million.
Oh, that's awesome. They're going to need 10 times that.
So, Allison, do you know about Star Citizen? This is
a little, but go ahead and...
Chris Roberts, the guy that made Wing Commander, is making a new space game, and they have basically direct crowdfunding where you can pre-order stuff.
Yes.
It's up to $37 million. The reason I pulled this up is because when I read this article, there was one question that came in my mind. How much money do you need to make this game? And is there any way that this game is going to live up to the amount of money that people have put into it already?
They're going to need way more than that.
You think so?
Way more than that.
How much more?
God, it's based on everything that we've looked at. I mean, it's going to be what, $150, $200 million game?
Maybe.
I mean, it's a huge, sprawling thing. The money that they've raised so far, it's a drop in the bucket.
Okay.
They've got a huge team in multiple cities.
So do you think this shit's going to be vaporware? Or is it going to come out and be bad? I want you, Jason, to make a prediction. I want you to put some shit on paper.
No, I'm not going to make that prediction.
Okay, don't make that prediction.
I was excited.
All right.
I'm not making that prediction. I'm just saying they need a lot more money than they've got.
Yeah.
Because it's very ambitious, and I'm really excited about it. It's one of the few games that I'm actually genuinely looking forward to.
Yeah.
It's just they're asking a lot. They are indeed.
And, I don't know if this has actually gone through yet or not, but they're making crowdfunding more and more legal. There's been holdups with the Securities and Exchange Commission, so you can't directly become a shareholder for like $1 in these places. But that's becoming legal, and as it becomes more and more legal, you're going to see a lot more of this. So
okay, that's good. We have an email that's about that. We can go into a little bit greater detail. So we've got a couple more stories here. They're pretty short. Grand Theft Auto 5 has been listed for the PC, indicating that they're probably going to make a PC version.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the modders do.
I know. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, whatever, game, blah, blah, blah. Modders.
Yes.
Get on it.
Because I want to see Trevor Phillips' voice coming out of Gary Marzipan's fucking mouth. There was actually another story that came out with this that was around the same time that said that like there was a bunch of modders that were basically trying to put Los Santos into GTA 4. They were trying to mod the GTA 5 map into GTA 4.
Gotcha. God, that's
meantime.
a lot of work.
But I don't know. This is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
top-selling game of 2013. Maybe you guys should put it on another platform. I'm just spitballing here.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
That way, those dudes with business beards can play it while they're, supposedly at a business meeting before they go to their golf event.
Oh man, dude! What if you could play? Grand Theft Auto 5? Oh man, we had that thing with the PlayStation streaming service. Jason, what if you could take that Vita home with you and play Grand Theft Auto 5 at work, streaming over the internet to your Vita?
Wow,
that would be disgusting and ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't think I want any part of that. I think
that'd be amazing.
I think it's also all that I want in the world.
And we're just a couple of years away from that.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah. Well,
tops.
They're rolling out the PlayStation Now or whatever it's called, like closed beta soon. Speaking of the future, Valve came out. They had a whole VR thing where they said that by 2015 that we should probably have reasonably priced VR headsets for consumers.
So not Oculus Rift, but
well, there was another story that had them working with Oculus, but this story basically just says that they had a report that said all the technology that you need to make a fully HD, low latency, lightweight headset that is priced at a point where a normal consumer can buy it is there. We just have to put it all together and get it going and put it on shelves, and boom, it'll be good to go. Which I still wish I had bought one of the prototype Oculus Rifts, but they've got the new one that has a little dots on it so you can do motion tracking on it, so I kind of want that one now.
Oh, I can't wait.
1080p. Well,
I can't wait. Oh, my God. Retrofitting Red Dead Redemption to work with the Oculus Rift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be... I mean, you've played an Oculus Rift before. This question, do you think that it would be weird playing a third-person game?
Oh.
Because it fills up your whole field of vision.
Yeah, that could be really strange.
Having
actually
the character in front of you... I don't know.
Yeah.
It might work.
I didn't think about that. That could be really weird. It might. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff that on paper works just fine, but then when you get down to it, when you start dealing with this virtual reality stuff, that the human brain just can't deal. Yeah. You know, that it can't handle that disconnect there.
Just got to learn. Got to learn,
yeah,
man.
because there was a lot of this kind of conversation going on when... games quit being side scrollers. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how people are going to play this,
right.
3D game. And
have you played with an Oculus?
No, but this ties directly into what I studied in college. So
you
I've been
studied
paying
virtual
attention.
reality in college?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why go work with John Carmack? What are you still doing here? You're looking for a job. Go to Oculus VR.
But really, the big question is, once this becomes widespread, what are we going to do about the lawnmower man?
Though, yeah.
It is really the greatest threat that faces us as a nation.
When the lawnmower man becomes a reality?
Yeah. And the ringing of all the telephones in the world shall be his birth cry. That's what he said.
I think what will happen is that everybody will go into virtual reality, and then they'll see the guy that looks like the lawnmower man, and the entire internet will point and laugh at him and go,
low res.
Look at your low poly count, noob. And the lawnmower man will get, he'll turn his face into a lawnmower, but he'll laugh even harder. They'll be like, when you turn your face into a lawnmower? I've got 60 guns on me right now. Yeah. Lawnmower man. And then last but not least, this is a story that somebody sent me on my Facebook that is weird. Have you guys seen this Oculus Rift gender swap thing?
I saw something about that article today, but I didn't read it.
Okay, so
what's the deal?
Basically what's going on here is that you've got two people, and they both got an Oculus Rift on, a man and a woman who have an Oculus Rift on, and the Rift, I think itself, has a a camera attached to the front of it.
Okay.
So what happens is the two people essentially they agree beforehand to move the same way, like mirrored, right? But what's happening is that they move real slow so that the other person can essentially mirror their moves. So what you're seeing coming in your field of vision, is essentially somebody of the opposite sex doing all of the same movements that you're doing. So you like look down and they look down, and when you look down you see a lady body or a dude body instead of your own body. And then there's actually a lot of nudity in the video that they put up of like dudes looking down at the boobs on the lady that's on the other side of it. I don't know if this is useful for anybody. I'm kind of like, couldn't you just do this with like a pretend mirror or something?
I don't know. It could be interesting, especially if it becomes less cumbersome and you have it in something like Google Glass. So a guy can put it, or a woman can put on the Google Glass or whatever.
Right.
A less obtrusive version of it and put it on and go to a bar, and the guy can sit there in the comfort of his own home and experience how this woman is getting treated.
Like, yeah, that's the only thing that I can think of is, oh yeah, you want to swap identities? Let's do that. Let's go through the online dating process, or let's try to just buy some fucking Visine at a Target and see like all of the hey girl.
That seems to be that's was their intent here, was to essentially give people that it was meant as it's not a game, it's meant as a learning tool to essentially kind of experience another gender through your eyes. Right now it seems like the problem of having to move real slow and agree that like I'm raising my left arm now, that seems like it could be a little bit of a problem. But if they could make a suit that makes you move somebody else's body, that would be a horrifying future where the robots rule us all and we are slaves to their every desire.
What's that movie where you put the little hat thing on your head?
Brain scan. No, Strange Days.
Strange Days.
Is it Strange Days and you could have somebody else's memories?
Yeah, Strange Days.
Okay.
Okay, that's next.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Okay. I just want to go with gamer.
Okay.
I'm just thinking they put those devices on, and it's like the quote-unquote sex scene in Demolition Man.
Oh. He's got Sandra Bullock coming at you out of that black weirdness going, ooh, ah, and you're like, oh, this is stupid. Why do you guys even do this? This is dumb.
Yeah, but where do I put my dick?
Actually, it's funny. The very end of this video had this man and the woman, and they're whenever you see the video, they're facing back to back. And they were both looking down and like pulling up the underwear, looking in their underwear. And I'm like, of course, this is the principle where you've got this brand new VR technology. And what are we doing? We're looking at each other's junk with it.
Hey, they're just being practical because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I mean, come on. I can just like put my head over your shoulder and look at your wiener.
Well,
I don't really understand.
You have that access, but soon the rest of the world will be able to look at my dong.
At your wiener?
www.jasonsdong.com.
Yep, it's coming.
It's just Oculus Rift. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, folks, that's the news is still kind of ramping back up. The Candy Crush thing was kind of the biggest thing of the week. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to answer your emails. The email address is mail@rageselect.com. That is mail@rageselect.com. I thought we had this figured out, folks. Some of you guys are still sending your questions to the admin address. Do not send them to the admin address. Use the link provided below this, or type mail@rageselect.com into your email client of choice. Do people use email clients anymore?
Yeah,
Probably.
probably.
Use webmail at this point? I still.
That's all I use.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, it's time to answer the questions. And we are back. And if you just tuned in for the second half, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go listen to the first half. But this is the half where we have you guys' emails that you send in, and we've got a bunch of emails this week, and I picked out a few of them to read. And the first one comes in from our good friend Illegal Swede. It says, "Greetings, great overlords. Illegal Swede here once again. I was looking at some of the older stuff and noticed that you guys are fans of Cthulhu. but I wondered if you were actually familiar with the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and if so, which of his, quote, eldritch tales would you like to see adapted into a video game, movie, or TV series? Call of Cthulhu game is one of my favorites, and I was looking forward to Del Toro's At the Mountains of Madness, but it is unlikely the film will ever be made. Thanks again, guys. Swede out. So, Jason and Allison Murphy, are you guys familiar at all with the works of H.P. Lovecraft?
Hell yeah.
Okay. I was about to tell you to get the fuck out and never come back.
He is my favorite. I have all of his stuff. I think I even have all of his stories on my phone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For when you're going to the bathroom? When you're having a hard time,
whenever
you need to get the shit scared out of you.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Just cosmic horror. You
Right.
know, after I eat like a stuffed nacho or whatever.
Well, it's more of a clenching horror, I guess. That would probably be counterintuitive to your. Okay, never mind. I'm abandoning this line of inquiry. So
yeah. My favorite story has actually already been adapted on one of the Masters of Horror episodes. It's The Rats in the Walls.
Okay.
And that's a good one, dealing with like weird geometry and witches and pocket dimension kind of things. I like that one a lot. But yeah, it's been adapted and it was decent. You know, it wasn't bad. I can't remember who directed it.
Can you think of anyone that would make a good game?
That would make a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the Mountains of Madness would make a great game.
Okay.
I think that would be really, really cool. Or even a Call of Cthulhu one would make a great game. Not one based on, not like the Call of Cthulhu game that came out on the Xbox, which was cool.
Right.
It was very cool. I liked it a lot. But yeah, that
we were actually going to play that game for our
didn't work out
for Halloween, but it kept crashing.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the Lovecraft stories have a lot of adventure in them. You know, a lot of like archaeology type stuff, so they could be adapted pretty well into games. I know from what I played of Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth, there was a lot of like Shadow over Innsmouth in it, which is great.
Yeah,
you know, I'd like to see some Dunwich horror as well. You know,
okay.
that'd be pretty rad. Yeah, all the big ones. You know,
Allison.
Yeah, he covered it.
He covered it for you. See, I don't know. I kind of have a little bit of a different opinion because, well, my favorite Lovecraft story is The Color from Space. And I've always thought that Lovecraft works best because he's always writing around the actual horror.
Sure.
Most of his stuff is kind of like a lot of the J-horror stuff where it's like, it's so terrible that if you saw it, you would instantly become insane.
Right.
And he writes so much around that stuff that I feel one of the big problems that you have with converting his stuff into any kind of visual format is eventually you have to show something, usually. I mean,
well, in video games, yes. It's not like you're doing a movie where you're completely controlling the point of view.
Right.
In a video game, yeah, it's a lot harder.
I mean, like in Amnesia, you had that thing where it was like, don't look at the enemies.
Call of Cthulhu was like that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not as much as Amnesia was, though.
The problem that I mainly had was that eventually I looked at the enemies and I was just like, oh, you're a low poly monster.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I've seen a billion low poly monsters in my life. I was actually, when I read this question, I was actually thinking it would make an interesting game jam or challenge thing of like, can you make a video game where you're never allowed to look at, like, if you look at the thing, the game is over. Like, you maybe just get a real quick flash of something and then like game over. Kind of like Slender, you know, like when he catches you. Where it's just, you know, oh, you're dead.
One of the best Lovecraft games that I played in a long time was actually a text-based game.
Uh-huh.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, Anchorhead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was great, and you can get it for free on iOS if it's still available. This thing called Frauds, and it's got a lot of the early prototype Zork stuff on it.
Okay,
and it's just an entire library of text-based games, and that one was really good.
Yeah, we mentioned Zork on Sparkle Fandango, I think, but yeah. So I was thinking if you do move it into more of a video game arena, having it to be more of a puzzle game or an adventure game where you really are trying to solve this mystery, that would be more interesting to me than like a first-person shooter or something like that. Where, you know, the mystery is what you're trying to unravel more than shooting.
What if they took that fucking that gas mask game?
Oh yeah,
You know, they're talking about the total sensory deprivation game.
Yeah.
And they made a game that was like an audio Lovecraft game where all of your other senses are just like totally dulled and you've got headphones on. that is like a text adventure, right? But you're you're doing that. Maybe incorporate some kind of like some kind of Connect style, like you say what you want to do type of thing, and then just let you sit there like in deprivation in the dark and just like scare the shit out of yourself.
And you fail. One of the fail criteria is when the Connect detects that you have urinated on yourself.
Yeah. I was watching this thing that was like top vines on YouTube, and one of them was just this guy who like was in a McDonald's and he was just standing in the middle there and he just starts peeing in his pants, and then one of the people at the counter was like, he's peeing in his pants, and he just runs off. I'm like, is this entertaining? I don't understand. Was that you?
I had to go.
Okay.
I had a lot of Mr. Pibb that day.
Mr. Pibb at the McDonald's?
No, I brought my own.
Oh, okay. Brought it from home.
It's kind of my
He's
hobby.
got one of those Camelbacks, and it's just
Okay.
Kind of my hobby, urinating in fast food restaurants.
Just right in the middle?
Just right there.
Do you do it in your pants, or do you actually just whip it out and just write your name in the snow?
Depends on which pants I'm wearing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Some of them
What
stain.
restaurant,
And what restaurant.
Everybody knows that anything goes in Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
Jack in the Box don't give a shit.
Yeah.
or Chick-fil-A.
Well, Chick-fil-A.
Well, yeah.
Chick-fil-A. All right, our next question here comes in from Max, and Max says, "Dear Jeff and Jason, it is no secret that everyone who loves to listen to and watch this show loves the same sorts of things: video games, movies, comic books, etc. It is also no secret that the people who own the companies who make our favorite things from these criteria are not people who love them as well, i.e., EA, Activision, Warner, Fox, etc. They often seem to be run by middle-aged, rich, ambitious, and utterly ruthless businessmen/women. However, I was wondering if you thought that the future generations of game/film/comic book companies will likely change at the hands of the next generations that have been saturated by the freedom of comics/movies/games/the internet at large. Oof, man. Or will it be business as usual in the future? Sorry if this question was a little long-winded, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Keep up the awesome work, guys, and ride on for the glory of Dongacles. Kind regards, Max. And I'm not going to say your last name. So.
The bean counters are in charge of everything big. All the accountants and everything.
Well, I'll tell you right now that the reason that the stodgy middle-aged white guys are in charge of everything is because they have the money.
And they have the business acumen. They're not the creative types, which is unfortunate because I think you need to strike a balance. You don't want any pure artist in charge of a multi-billion-dollar industry, whether it's EA or Ubisoft or whatever. But if you look at I think a lot of the indie games, the good ones anyway, have a balance between, okay, this person is a savvy businessman and also a good artist. I think you have to strike a balance between the two. The future, though, no, you got to stick with the small stuff if you really want some creative expression. On the big stuff, though, that's just going to be further and further homogenized until it collapses.
Well, a lot like film used to be the purview of people who had the money to buy rolls and rolls of film
stock.
And now that
it's democratized.
Yeah, it totally is. And I think the more that we get average Joe being a coder, the more you're going to be able to see that cool, engaging content be the little dudes who are making cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus when you look at, I think the other thing I think is that you've also got, there's a very clear vector there for somebody like Notch, who made Minecraft.
Yeah.
And now that guy's got just he didn't have to work ever again. He didn't do shit. He's got the money to. Minecraft sold a gajillion. You see all this kind of stuff. We saw it in Indie Game the Movie, right? With stuff like Braid or Super Meat Boy, where you've got a bunch of people working on a passion project, and then it sells so well that you're able to fucking found your own game studio and make whatever you want to. That with Steam and the Xbox and PS4's commitment to doing indie stuff, that it's easier than ever to wrest control of your creative vision outside of having to sell out to the man in order to try to make the story that you want to make.
Right.
Just the same as with indie filmmakers. And fuck, man, music is already there, right?
Yeah.
You don't sign with maybe if you're a huge pop star or whatever, but all the bands that I listen to are just some dudes, and they put their shit up on Amazon, and Amazon takes a cut, and iTunes takes a cut, and they get all the money. Used to be that big music acts, all their money from their album sales went to the corporation, and all they made was money on tours and shirts and stuff. And I think that's already changed, and that you're going to see movies follow course and then games after that.
Yeah, exactly. And really, right now, I mean, the real trick is distribution.
Yeah.
Development is fine. The tools have been democratized, and the skill sets are in the hands of everyday people as far as film and games go. Games, they always kind of have been, but now it's much more widespread. It's in some ways, it's easier to make games. In some ways, there are a lot of shortcut tools and stuff like that.
Sure.
You don't have to write code. You've got a lot of boilerplate stuff that you can use. But getting it out there, because the democratization is so widespread, there are so many movies and games out there that it's difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff. Or if you're one of those guys creating something that is a quality product, it's hard to get it noticed because everybody's making it. That's much more a problem with movies than it is with games right now.
I think it's starting to become a much bigger problem with games.
It is.
Early access stuff, and you're seeing just Steam, small game after small game after small game. I mean, I look at the indie channel on Steam, and there's more stuff coming out every week on that than it seems like, because we get one big release a week or a month. Like the big guys tend not to step on each other's toes, whereas the indies don't give a fuck. Just put it out, man. Like, we're either going to go. And I think that the big risk that's going to run indie games in the next probably 2 or 3 years is going to be the indie game space oversaturating itself to the point where nobody's even buying the indie games anymore, because you can't tell, here's another roguelike, here's another procedurally generated, blah, blah, blah. Here's another kind of a Minecraft ripoff, but this time you can do these things with it. And that you eventually get it to a point where you've got the 5th generation of side-scrolling Metroidvania procedurally generated Minecraft ripoffs, and you're like, it's diminishing returns on that stuff.
Yeah.
So the important thing is going to be for sites like Rage Select or other people who have an internet presence who are going to curate that for you and say, oh, okay, so we've dredged through this entire pile of indie games, and here's a package of games that you might like, or here's...
I'm not going to do it.
I'm up for it.
No.
I'm up for it.
So that's going to be more important going into the future, is that you're going to start getting curation, and that's going to be where all of the
how you find the good content.
Attention is going to go on the internet, as people who are curating this
stuff.
So
what you're saying is that reviewers will be more important than ever.
Yes.
All of the power. I can't wait until the scale tips, right? And we're more important than the content creators. This bananas world that we live in, where you've got all these game companies like, oh, can we take you out to dinner? And be like, no,
yes,
dude, I already had my P. Terry's for today. Jason already ate like 4 bags of Taco Bell. I saw it. You can't take us out to dinner right now.
You can take me out to dinner.
You can take Allison out to dinner.
To one of the 4 restaurants in town you can eat at.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you can't go out to dinner anywhere.
Yeah, I can. There's like 4 places, and you can take me there.
Okay. All right. So there you go, Max. Our next question is coming in. We're really ripping through these today. Next question's coming in from Joe, and Joe says, "Hey, Ragers and Ragettes, I recently checked out Alpha Protocol, a Mass Effect style spy action RPG from Obsidian. The game was a mess. It was riddled with bugs and featured one of the worst stealth mechanics I've ever seen. Yet I found myself enjoying parts of the game because of the character choice and spy movie theme, so much so I'd love for Obsidian to be given the chance to make a sequel to fix those issues. Have you ever played a bad game that you thought still deserved a sequel? Thanks for reading my email and all the great work you do, Joe, a.k.a. Bronco22. Did you play Alpha Protocol?
No, I didn't.
That game is a mess.
That's what I hear.
It is terrible. It's one of the... I wanted to love it so much. It's like just like he said, it's like Mass Effect style spy, and you do these interactions with people, and you've got this. On paper, it seems like the greatest game I've ever wanted, and then when you play it, you're just like, this is terrible.
Well, Obsidian.
Hey, I didn't say it. I didn't say it this time. What do you think? Have you ever played a really terrible game that you thought should get a sequel?
Where you can see some good stuff there, but you really can't. You really can't justify. And yeah, it's happened before.
Yeah,
Fallout.
Absolutely. Fallout. What are you talking about?
The first Fallout was fucking broken.
First Fallout was fine. What are you talking about?
No, the first Fallout was buggy as shit.
What are you talking about?
Fallout 2, on the other hand, was basically, okay, let's take what we did and let's make it work this time.
What?
Fallout 1 was buggy as hell.
How so? What are you talking
It
about?
crashed all the time.
Did it?
There were game-breaking glitches in it.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, totally. Fallout 1 was a mess.
2020 hindsight, I guess.
Fallout 2, on the other hand, was like, oh, okay, let's take this game that should have been good and let's turn it into something amazing.
Do you consider Fallout 1 a bad game?
No, it wasn't a bad game, but it was a mess.
Okay. Right.
But now it's been fixed. But when it first came out, yeah. But like Ultima 10.
Uh-huh.
That was a game that was ambitious and should have been awesome, but it was just pushed out too soon.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I'd like to see this with you guys doing it right at some point. It's
Battle
like, I want to
Cruiser
see
3000 AD.
That's another one. Yeah.
I don't know. Like the only part of his question that kind of bugs me is that I feel like when a company makes a bad game, I don't want them to make a sequel to it. I want somebody else to make a sequel to it that I can trust this time around. I don't know, Allison. What do you think? Have you played many bad games?
Okay, so my brain is abandoning me. What was before Neverwinter Nights?
Baldur's Gate.
No.
Yeah.
There was one. There was a. It wasn't.
You're not thinking of any of the Gold Box or SSI games, are you?
I think of BioWare games. Like you got to talk into the microphone if you want people to hear you.
No, I know. I'm thinking they don't need to hear that. Like
they can hear you thinking when you put the mic up to your head like that. So I don't know what they were getting there. Jade Empire?
No, I'm not gonna remember. But anyway, it was.
Are you talking about Icewind Dale?
Yes.
Because that was after Neverwinter Nights.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not thinking of Icewind Dale.
Planescape Torment.
Shit.
Don't you dare say anything about Planescape Torment.
I'm not saying anything about. I'm trying to figure out what she's talking about.
Anyway, there was one in the series where it was beautiful and the story was okay, but kind of along the lines of what you guys are saying, the gameplay was kind of fucking horrible, and I kind of gave up. But then when
Neverwinter Nights came out,
maybe it was Icewind Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah, Icewind Dale was after Neverwinter Nights. I think it was between Neverwinter. I could be wrong, but I think it was between Neverwinter Nights and Neverwinter Nights 2, which was two different development studios, right? One in
Neverwinter Nights 2 was Obsidian. Neverwinter Nights 1 was BioWare.
Yeah.
Just KOTOR, was that were they Black Isle or was that BioWare? No, it was BioWare. They were BioWare. KOTOR was BioWare as well.
KOTOR 2.
Was Neverwinter Nights BioWare or was that Black Isle? Oh, Black Isle was dead by then, right? Okay, never mind.
I don't recall.
I'm getting all bent out of shape here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
same kind of a thing
Yeah.
where it was beautiful and I liked it, but no.
Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning could have been a good game.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that game?
Yeah, totally.
That could have been a really good game, but it just got real mired down and stuff. I mean,
lots of legal problems with the studio.
Yeah. Well, that plus it was kind of dull when they had all the Radiant quests for you to do, and you were just like, oh god. And you could break it too. I don't know. In answer to his question, I don't want the same studio to try making a broken game. Like I wouldn't want to see Obsidian make Alpha Protocol 2. I'd want somebody else to make Alpha Protocol 2.
Sure.
I'd rather have some like group that really loved Alpha Protocol 1 who's like, we're going to kickstart Alpha Protocol 2 and we're going to make it good this time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that if a developer, I mean, like, if it's their first game, maybe, but like by that point, I mean, Alpha Protocol was the first game that Obsidian made that was an original IP by them, and it didn't work. Like, it didn't really do very well. So that was their labor of love, and what they put out was kind of a crappy game as opposed to the sequels that they had been doing before. So as far as I'm concerned, in that case, you don't really get more than one chance with old Jeff when it comes to making a shitty game.
Oh, Jeff.
Old Jeff.
I want you to make a good. We all know at this point how to make a good game, or we should. You should at least be able to play a game and go, "This is good." Or,
you hear that?
Good.
From now on,
Yeah.
all games are good.
They should be.
They should be.
They should be good. There's no reason to make bad games, not in this particular day and age. Like, we've got so much history of what makes a fun video game that you should just be able to give it to a child and come back 30 minutes later, and if they're thrown down the controller and they're peeing on the Jack-in-the-Box, then you know that you've made a bad game, right? They've wandered off into the street.
That's why I pee in the Jack-in-the-Box.
It's whenever a game is bad.
Assassin's Creed 3. I'm looking at you.
Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. Our next question here is from Witch Rolina. Witch Rolina says, hey, it's your friendly local witch here. Send in a few questions, but so far none have been answered. Anywho, I've heard about your issues with certain types of games, how you have to uninstall it or you'll be absolutely lost in it. I think I found one like that for me. I just played Civilization 5 for the first time yesterday. Started about 10 a.m., meaning to try it out for a few hours before talking with some friends and doing laundry. Next thing I know, it's midnight, and I have to work in the morning. Yikes. So anyway, other than just flat out uninstalling the game that you know of to stop or counter this, thanks for your time and understanding, Witch Rolita.
Well, what?
Wait, is she actually a witch? Is it a dude? Is it a lady?
Her avatar on the site is witch.
A lady.
Sounds feminine, yeah.
Yeah.
Is she an actual witch?
I don't know.
Or is it like...
I stay out of other people's business, you know.
Inquiring minds need to know.
You need to know?
Yeah.
Do you need a hex for...
I do.
For another game show?
I need like 2 or 3 hexes and maybe like a money spell.
Okay. Like
just...
money juice?
Yeah, money juice.
Drink it and then you get money forever?
Or like some kind of a totem or amulet.
What if it was a potion that you drink, right?
Yeah.
And once a day... you threw up $1,000 in ones.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Except for Sunday. You don't get to throw up on Sunday.
Yep.
So
yeah, bring it.
Infinite money forever, but you have to vomit $1,001 bills every day.
Fine.
Yeah.
There's no
problem.
liquid even. It just kind of coming out dry. They're scraping up your mouth and stuff.
No problem.
Yeah, bring it. Let's do it.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, eventually you're going to have so much money that your problem is going to be the vomiting of the money, not necessarily spending
Yeah, but you
the
get
money
used
you
to
have.
it. It's
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's like, whatever, I'm a seasoned vomiter. Look at that, $1,000.
I don't really think that pooping is a super enjoyable process, but
you're doing
you
it
gotta
wrong.
do it.
Okay, what if it was pooping $1,000, but it came out with the food? You had to extricate your
Fine.
paycheck every day.
Yeah,
Fine, I'd do
fine.
it.
I would do it, yeah.
Well, you guys are easy. You guys are good at this
it's
game.
$1,000.
That's $1,000.
Rinse the shit off and make it rain.
What if
Yeah.
it was $1,000 in quarters that you had to throw up every day?
No.
And an
No.
hour before you threw it up, you felt the $1,000 of quarters.
sounds horrible.
Sounds pretty terrible.
1
yeah.
hour a day, and then you throw up 1,000 because you got to take all those quarters to the bank.
That's you know what? I've actually been conditioning myself for this
Coinstar?
because eating at Taco Bell will sometimes make you feel like you have $1,000 of quarters in your lower
You're
intestine.
more of a reverse Coinstar, right? Dude, you could go to H-E-B and then throw up directly into the Coinstar
Just right in there.
every day. Like, oh, Allison's here again today. Here she goes.
What was the question?
Sorry.
Ms. Rolina has been playing Civilization 5, and she has found that, oh shit, it's 6 a.m. I've got to go to work tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's eating her life.
And she is asking, is there any way to stop it outside of just uninstalling the game and getting rid of it?
You know, it's all about discipline, really. Don't deprive yourself. You clearly like the game. So just be strong and say, okay, just 2 hours. Set an alarm for yourself. In fact, I think there are some programs that you can use that will lock or shut down certain programs after a certain amount of time.
Have you seen The Guild?
That sounds like hell. What are you talking about? That sounds like absolute hell.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you talking about? Shut your game off right in the middle?
Yeah.
Come on, program. I got to get to a save point first.
I was going to say sex. That
Sex?
normally... Like,
Yeah, you could get laid.
Yeah, you just have a sex partner come over at like a specific time.
Okay, so this has always been one of the most horrifying stories of my life. Many years ago, or not
Oh,
the
no.
most horrifying. Many years ago, I had a friend who was dating this woman, right? And he would not stop playing EverQuest to have sex with her.
Yeah.
In fact, I know
Yeah.
for a fact that at certain points there was some beejin going on while the rating was happening. And I'm like,
Well, did she look like a Knoll from Blackborough or something?
No, she's a very attractive young lady.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand. I play the video games because I'm not getting laid.
Yeah.
What's your excuse? Are you so bored with sex that you're just like, it's too much work. I'm just going to play this
This has happened to me.
Cheeto dust on
Not
my
for me.
nipples.
This has happened to me
Yeah.
as a lady who actually... I like video games.
Yeah.
I am also an EverQuest player.
Yeah.
And
Was.
I was. And then would have similar problems in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, is that people badgering you for sex? And
No.
You'd rather play EverQuest or the opposite?
No.
Okay, the
No.
opposite.
You don't have to badger. There's no need to badger. Pretty much just like a polite suggestion, maybe a post-it note.
Hey, let's go.
That's pretty much all that's required.
You
but
guys are so romantic.
Yeah.
Jason just clears his throat the right way.
Moaning. I just point at my crotch and walk into the bedroom. Sometimes just point at my crotch. I don't even have to walk into the
We got
bedroom.
an air horn in there. Just
She comes running.
well, Allison, you had it pretty bad with Battle Block Theater, right?
yeah.
But you didn't have a job, so you just played it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would only play it, what? I'd play it like at night after everybody had already gone to bed.
Right.
Yeah, it never interfered with anything.
No.
Yeah. You could always try poisoning yourself by saying that you won't play the game except on the hardest difficulty level, and then if the computer whoops your ass like 12 times in a row in 4 turns, you'll be like, "Fuck this game," and just turn your computer desk over.
Rage quit.
Or you could find the video game version of Demerol. You go play a little StarCraft 2 maybe, or something that's got some elements to it that you could more easily turn off than Civilization.
Yeah.
Because I had that problem with Alpha Centauri. A lot of turn-based games, especially One More Turn. I'm just gonna do one more turn.
Yeah.
Do one more turn.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God! You see what happened that turn? I got to do one more turn before I go. I just got to do one more time. I've never been able to successfully stop it outside of just uninstalling the game. There were times in my life when I was younger where I would go over to my friend's house and give them the CD for the game and go, "I need you to not give this back to me for like 6 months."
What?
Yeah. Because I would sit there and I would just play it, and I would start. Then I always knew it was bad on the 4th day after I'd been like no sleep for 3 days, and then the 4th day I'm calling into work so that I could sleep when I'm supposed to be at work, so that I can get back up and play more of the game later on.
Jesus Christ.
That's a problem, man.
I know. That's why you uninstall the game. You take the CD over to your friend's house and you go, "Don't give this the fuck back to me. I don't need this anymore." It's gotten better in my old age. I'm more able to turn shit off now than I used to be able to.
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't need to, because that's your fucking job.
Well, there's also that. The billable hours are those hours that you're up until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the answer, Witch Rowena.
Yeah, get a job playing video games.
Yeah. But not a QA tester. It's not the same thing, trust
No,
me.
it's really not.
It will break you.
That's what you could do. You get a job as a QA tester, then you're going to come home
And
and
then
you're going
you
to go,
hate it.
"Yeah, fucking video games. I never want to see them again. I never just fucking, I'm going to go outside and do sports ball."
No, there's no reason to do sports ball. There's just no reason.
We had fun doing the sports ball. Jason, your husband and I played
we
sports
had
ball.
fun in spite of the fact that we were terrible at it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was
I don't ever want to play
But
it
you guys
again.
were playing a video game. You weren't outside doing the
No,
sports
hell no.
ball.
Some people have said that they'd love to see a live action video of Jason and I trying to play basketball.
Yeah, a couple of people have said that.
Yeah, and what I wanted to
That
tell
shit
them
ain't
was like
happening.
it would be one play, right? It'd be like one where I'm just blocking Jason, he's got the ball, and he comes around me, and I'm just like, and he shoots it, and then I take it back, and I shoot it, and at that point, we're both going, all right, that's all. Just rewind the video if you want to see more, I guess.
Yeah, we'll just put it in a loop.
Yeah, just that one play over and over again. I was actually saying to Grant, we were playing The Last of Us, where when a character in a game jumps up to a ledge and they pull themselves up and they get up to the ledge.
Yeah.
One time I would do
Once.
that, and I'd be like, "I can't feel my arms anymore. The zombies are just going to get us. I'm sorry, I can't go on."
Good luck, Ellie.
Good luck. All right, our next question is from Raven. Whatever, that's what it says. Raven says, "Hey, Jeff and Jason, or whomever is playing the part of Jason Murphy this week." So I'm going to say, "Hey, Jeff and Jason and Allison, I have 2 questions. I'll try to make this brief, but no promises. I am an older gamer, pushing 40 now, and although I played video games in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't until I purchased my first PC in 1997 that I really started abandoning my free time to the mouse and monitor, and a year or so later, Black Isle's Baldur's Gate made me a full-fledged, sleep-deprived, malnutrition gaming marathoner. So my 2 questions. 1, do you guys have any really old games that you feel you could go back and play that stand the test of time based on their gameplay / story / execution alone, without all the graphic and mechanical progression that makes today's games so beautiful and fascinating, but often lacking depth, replayability, or storyline?" Whew, that's a long sentence. And as a side note, what do you think of attempts? What do you think of the attempts that are being made to upgrade / expand those games, like the Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition? 2. One of my fondest wishes was, as an amateur writer and storyteller in my mid-20s, to be hired as a writer for Black Isle before my dream was dashed when Interplay shut them down. Sometimes I still feel like I could write a better story for many of the games that come out these days. A lot of games have significant promise either in setting or gameplay, but the story will often fall flat. Do you guys have any insight into that side of the gaming industry, or is it just as much a mystery to you as it is to me? Thanks for reading, gents. Rage on and good journey.
Question 1.
Question the first.
Question 1. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
I don't go back and play games after I've already beat them.
Oh
Usually.
yeah, you're weird like that.
Yeah, I don't
Scorched
usually do
Earth.
that.
You and Kevin do Scorched Earth.
Yeah, it's usually I'm done with it, and I'm not going to go back. That's usually the case. Although recently there was a sale on Good Old Games with all of the Sierra, like King's Quest, Police Quest, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't download them.
Yeah.
But I still keep thinking I want to go back and play, Quest for Glory and what have you. Those were just very charming and everything, but a lot of that might be nostalgia. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people say that games aren't as good as they used to be. No, they've improved. I don't want to go back and play something that I liked when I was young and then find out, oh yeah, this was shit.
Sometimes, I mean, some of the stuff that was, some of the stuff like I could still go back and play Super Mario Brothers. It stands up,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it
Pac-Man,
does.
Galaga, Tempest, like all those old arcade games. There's some old PC games that I think stand up.
Yeah,
I used to go. Every time we play an old game on the show, I want to finish it. Like we start playing Grim Fandango, and I'm like, oh yeah, this was really good. I want to play all the way through.
Remember when we went back and played Simon's Quest, which I loved, Castlevania 2.
Sure.
And then we played it, and I was just like, oh god, this is shitty. I never want to play this again.
Well, but you didn't have your Nintendo Power with it's holding the head on the cover, right?
It was exactly
scaring the kids. That was the problem that you had. I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of those games, if they've got good gameplay or good writing, they stand up the test of time. I'll install something on Steam and then go back and I'm like, I'm going to play this for 5 minutes. And then it's like 5 hours later and I'm on Act 4 or whatever.
Sure.
I think that games all have we've talked before about the stumbling block of early 3D graphics.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only place where I sometimes have a problem of like anything that was sprite-based or 2D before the PlayStation 1 / PC era, that stuff's all generally fine to go back to. Really crappy 3D graphics tend to turn me off.
Okay.
To the point where it's hard to play those games.
I wanted to go back and play the Gex games.
Yeah.
Just as an experiment, and because that was my super fun game around that point in time was the Gex Enter the Gecko game that was on
Genesis.
It was on Genesis.
Yeah.
So I've wanted to go back and play that. I'll go back and play games all the time. I'll play, we were talking on Sparkle Fandango. I played Zork not too long ago, and that's text-based, so that's, fucking ancient?
Yeah.
What were we playing on our emulator when we were dating?
I don't remember.
Gauntlet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't an emulator. It was the FC Twin. We were playing Gauntlet, too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah, it was shitty. It was bad.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I think that there's still plenty to be had off of old games.
I'm curious about going back to some of the old Ultima games.
Yeah? I never played Ultima, ever.
Played a couple of them.
None of them.
They were
Exodus
great.
on the NES.
Yeah,
I kept running
that
out of
doesn't
food
count.
and dying.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Exodus on the NES, Jesus.
Yeah.
God, that's like
I didn't have a PC when I was a kid.
that's like
so.
trying to watch a Blu-ray on a Betamax.
Hey, that was what was available. Everybody said Ultima, and then I played it. I don't know what you guys are talking
It's
about.
like watching Lawrence of Arabia on your phone.
You can't do that?
You shouldn't do that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's question number 2, Jason. I think that you probably could answer this. Do you have any insight into writing for video games?
I wanted to do that for a long time, and I would still like to. But for the longest time, what we saw in the industry was it was all the coders who were writing the games. They didn't hire writers.
Right.
It was all the people who knew how to write the code, or even the artists, which they would come up with good art, but they weren't necessarily good writers. And so for decades, you saw stories that were subpar and or rip-offs of, okay, here's another game that's just like Aliens. Here's another game that really cribs from Star Wars. There was a lot of that. I mean, for years, there was something where it's just like, okay, we're ripping off Aliens. We're ripping off Aliens over and over and over and over. Finally, they have started hiring professional writers because they realized, oh, this guy who ran a D&D campaign and wrote the C++ for the game, he has the hubris to think that he's a professional writer. He's like, oh, well, I can do this. Finally, they're realizing that, oh, that's a skill that requires just as much work as programming or art or level design or whatever. So finally they're realizing, and you see people hiring actual professional writers. And
like Homefront.
That's the problem. That's part of the problem, in that writing for a game, just because you wrote a good screenplay or wrote a good novel or you write good comic books, that doesn't mean you write a good game or vice versa. So I think there's very much a market for people who write for
the medium.
Games. Write specifically for the medium or know how to do it. Because, you'll see stuff like Clive Barker helping design Jericho. It was pretty good, Or you see Orson Scott Card did some stuff, right? Advent Rising, which was meh. Whatever.
Had potential. Another one of those. That's the game I would have loved to have seen an actual sequel to Advent Rising that was done correctly.
So we're finally seeing them bring in professional writers. They're still not totally there yet. I mean, of course, I think there are many more compelling games story-wise than there have ever been right now than ever in our history.
Sure.
But you have to know how to write for the medium.
But that said, I will say this about the game industry. It is what's called a closed house, which means if you want to get a job in the game industry, you have to have experience in the game industry.
The old catch-22.
Yeah. So, as somebody who does art and has applied to game companies, they will say, we're not even going to look at your portfolio unless you have success on a released title.
Right.
So how do you make that happen is that you have to find somebody who's making a game in their basement and be friends with them.
And help them out.
Yeah, like here in Austin, we have ACC. We have a big game development thing there where you could get in with some students who are releasing a game so you could have that experience. But if you are looking to get into working in the game industry, you should realize that roadblock exists and that you're going to have to do something for free first.
Well, I know that when BioWare moved in when they were making the Old Republic, I know they did have an open call for writers because they had so much dialogue in that game that they were just like, you're not going to be crafting the story of the Old Republic, but we're going to need you to do punch-up on, all the dialogue for this one guy is going to need some punch-up, and it's going to need, a better tone because you've got the head writer that's just like, and then he says, fuck you, and then he says, I don't want to do that, and he says this and whatever, and then you got to go in there and be like, and then instead of fuck you, he's like, devil with you, Jedi, I don't care for your order or whatever, So if you do want to get into writing, it seems like we've been saying before, that now is probably a better time than ever, especially because for writing, that's just emails, man. You don't need to be anywhere near the actual game development to do that stuff.
Well, you kind of do, because a lot of it is who you know.
Yeah,
since
a lot
the
of
industry
networking.
Since the industry is so insular, you really do have to, like one of our good friends, Bo, writes for King's Isle.
Yes,
and up until Bo worked for King's Isle, he openly hated video games. And now he talks to me about video games, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up, Bo. Just shut up. You don't know. But he does. He's a video game, but he still doesn't own a console. The only thing he plays is Wizard 101, but he got it because he knew somebody, and he's very good at his job. But yeah, it's tough because you do have to be like already established or already in the industry or something like that for the most part to get something that
but you know what?
makes a difference.
If this guy, like specific advice for this guy, what I would say is I think that if you want a vector for this and you honestly think that you can create a video game, if you can write a video game better than the stuff that's out there right now, what I would suggest is go look around and maybe to start with, sit down over the next year and make yourself literally the best text adventure ever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You put that shit online as a proof of concept. There will probably be people who like it. That could lead to other people contacting you to be part of a
Or use RPG
development.
Maker.
Yeah, RPG Maker.
Some of this stuff, I mean, the canned art stuff is a little bit more difficult.
It's restrictive, yeah.
But I mean, there's plenty of tools out there that one person can essentially use to make their labor of love. Like find the story that you've always wanted to see in a video game, and then figure out a way to make that happen with as little investment or as little overhead on your part as humanly possible. And once you've got that proof of concept out there, then you can shop that to smaller people. And then once you're in with one of those indie titles, then you've got the resume line for, the big video game company or medium tier video game company or whatever.
But yeah, you have to start off doing stuff for free and doing tiny stuff because it is a really closed house.
It is indeed. All right, our next question comes in from Toby, and Toby says, guys, was turned on to your show about 6 months ago and have made it a daily stop. Hey, we started about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome.
Also, I fully support you with a little Patreon patronage, as many more should.
Woo!
Yep. I am not a fan of game tie-ins with movies. None within recent memory have been any good, and I think that it just dilutes the pool of games further with crap. I know that many buy these bits of cinematic dingleberries, but is it really worth the attempt, either monetarily or reputation-wise, for a game studio to consider a tie-in anymore? Thanks, Puma Concolor.
Well, we've talked about this a number of times, and they just really don't have the time to turn out a good game. The development time for a movie is far shorter than the development time for a game. And fortunately, we're starting to see less movie tie-ins. Have you noticed that?
Well, I think that they're coming out more iPad. More iPad or browser Facebook games and iPad games and stuff
Not
like
requiring a $60 investment just to be disappointed.
Right.
Although I did see today the trailer for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, and all I could think was, don't suck, please don't suck, please don't suck.
See, that's why they keep making them, is because, Jason, people like, if you're a fan of the movie series, a lot of times they'll cut together a good trailer and you're like, this is going to be the one. I bet this is finally going to be the one, because every so often you get something like Riddick or Spider-Man 2 that is really good.
I did not buy the Amazing Spider-Man game. We played it a little bit, and then I was just like, it's not doing it for me.
Yeah.
I
think I beat that motherfucker.
Really?
Yeah, I think we reviewed it back in the old days.
Yeah, but you start seeing less and less movie tie-in games, and good. Because they can't do it in time. If you're going to have a movie tie-in game, just say, you know what? I don't even know if this would work. Just say, you don't even have to see the script. Just start developing an Avengers game, or whatever, and just sell that. It doesn't have to be based on the movie. Or if there's going to be a movie tie-in game, I don't think there's any harm in releasing a good game long after the fact the movie was released, Okay. Like release it with the DVD or something like that, 9 months later or whatever. Give yourself some extra time.
Or don't make a game that is a 3D,
right?
Web slinging sandbox game.
Sure.
Make games that are, action-y, turn-based kind of games, and then you don't have to do all that fucking game development.
Didn't they do that with Pacific Rim? There was like a Kinect game or something that came out.
I hear it's so stinky.
Oh, I'm sure.
That it's just the worst thing ever.
I'm sure.
It didn't get really any press.
Right.
Because I think they had it on their hands and they're like, let's just quietly push this out the door and forget about it.
Well, but the part of the question that I wanted to address from this guy is talking about monetary or reputation-wise for the studio to consider doing a tie-in. This actually ties back to our last question of if you're a game studio, like I don't know, and if there's anybody who listens to this show who works in the game industry, you tell me if this is the case, but what I get the impression of is that if you are a game studio that worked on a shitty movie tie-in game, I would have to imagine that people are not that the other people who make games in that industry are not going to be so stupid as to go, oh, you guys are terrible. You made the Star Wars Episode 3 game, and that was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And everybody's just going to be like, you guys created a game. You start, middle, end.
Yeah.
Didn't crash. It was released. Yes, it was bad. We know that's not your fault. You had 9 months to put it out because we all talked to each other. That it's not hurting their reputation to other developers. And in fact, if I was a programmer, I'd love to have. I mean, having a shitty movie game on your resume as opposed to having no game on your resume.
Yeah.
You can at least pull out the character models from the game and go, look, I made this.
Developers realize that sometimes other developers get stuck on shitty properties with poor project management or whatever.
Right.
As we've said many times before, the gaming public at large doesn't really pay much attention to studio names.
No, not really. So I think that, if we keep seeing games that come out from it, like that Rambo game that's being made by it's like a Polish company or something
like that.
That's been making nothing.
Don't knock the Polish developers.
No, not at all. Witcher 2.
Witcher, yeah.
But they, up until now, their track record has been on rails military light gun games that are generally reviewed as terrible.
Yeah.
But somehow they have the license to make the Rambo trilogy video game. What is perhaps outside of Aliens should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
For just shooting up dudes as Rambo. Press A to go, while you're shooting guys. It just goes to show that there's a lot that goes into the development of video games that has literally nothing to do with the quality of games or your track record as a studio.
Yeah.
Obsidian keeps making video games. Sorry.
You said it. You said it that time.
I said it that time. Allison, what do you think? You have any further thoughts?
Yes.
Yes. All the yes.
I don't know. I don't think that... Yeah, nobody's paying attention to which studios are putting shit out, and they're just making shit to get a little bit of money, and you disregard.
Yeah. Or you have stuff like
I think the only thing it hurts might be if it's a publicly traded company and its stock price. I think that's really the only thing.
I wonder if the companies that they farm the shit out to even really care about that.
Maybe
there's some kind of subsidiary, or they're going to get bought by another company. I wonder, but you can also look at it from the perspective of if it costs you guys 2 months of dev time to put out a shitty iPad ripoff game that you sell for $1 a piece, and that ends up selling 50,000 copies, and you make, let's say $40,000 on that on top of your development costs. It's $40,000 you didn't have yesterday. You made a shitty game. You still got paid for it. And at the end of the day, I'd really love it if this industry ran on love and passion.
But it doesn't.
But
no,
we've all got to pay our rents and buy Taco Bell and Lone Star. So do you think, Jason, I might make it a project. Do you want to reach out to Taco Bell and Lone Star and see if they want to sponsor?
Yes.
Rage Select?
They should.
They should.
Because that keeps this going.
What would a Rage Select taco dish be comprised of?
Oh, man.
What would a signature Rage Select?
Give me the
orphans.
Cheesy Rage
Orphan
Select.
meat.
If they went to a Taco Bell and they ordered off the secret menu.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what it would be? It would be like the KFC Sadness Bowl.
Yeah.
But it just has ground beef.
But it's all the Taco Bell stuff.
Right. Ground beef.
Oh, goddamn, that's genius.
Steak, chicken, and then it's got a lot of cheese on
Beans.
top of it. And then it's called... Put it in your mouth was our song from that one video that we did.
Put it in your fucking hole bowl.
Put it in your fucking face hole bowl. At Taco Bell. Fourth meal, bitch.
You disgusted bitch.
Right.
Eat the Rage Select manna.
Yeah. And it's just got, and then maybe it has like queso.
You're a fat motherfucker.
And then shredded cheese on top of the queso. And
Yeah.
then more meat. No, it could be like a parfait.
Oh.
Where it's
Yes.
ground beef and then queso and then chicken and then cheese and then steak and then
7-layer dip.
that orange macaroni cheese stuff they put in the stuffed nacho.
Erection status at 100%. My stomach has a boner.
Oh, God. So it
I have
would be
a stomach boner.
I want to be the new spokesperson for Rage Select for Taco Bell. This is Taco Bell. It'll murder you.
Yeah. It'll fucking kill your ass.
I mean, how do we live? I'm sorry. How do we live in a country where Taco Bell, I don't think they're doing it anymore, but honestly, they had an ad campaign that was fourth meal.
Yeah.
You don't eat enough, fatty. You need another meal in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then you get hungry at midnight, right, fatso?
I called my parents and I bitched. I was like, why didn't you tell me? My whole life there was a fourth meal?
It's
I
for
hate
after
you.
you smoke the blunts and you are staying up to play
Civilization
Fucking-
5.
Just Dance
Stick
2014.
Five.
No, dude, you don't smoke a blunt and then play Just Dance 2014.
No, you don't.
You would fail every
you
move.
do once they have the Spin Doctors and Grateful Dead DLC.
Have you ever seen a
Did you
stoner
swing
dancing as much as Grant danced in Just
like
Dance 2014?
Like a drum
That was
circle,
amazing.
maybe.
It was amazing. All right, Taco Bell. You guys are listening to the show.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us. All right.
Yo quiero rate select.
Got a couple more questions here. First one is from Jose. Jose says, "Good day, gentlemen. I very much appreciate the content and the many laughs. I'll go ahead and jump straight to the question. Back in the day, a lot of games were side view, top down, and used 2D sprites. Those formats still exist today and are incorporated into games that didn't either use them before or haven't for a long time. For example, A Link Between Worlds and Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars use the top-down view of earlier games of the series. What video games do this? When video games do this, they're usually panned by the audience, who seems to view this as a downgrade or a pretentious way to be retro if it's an indie game. What are your thoughts, subjective views, or millennial whining? Is that a thing? Do people bitch about that?
Probably. I don't know that the
It's
hardcores.
the internet.
People
I don't know that the
bitch
hard-
about everything.
Yeah, I don't know that the hardcores do, but I don't think it has the flash or the panache that a lot of people look for. People look for, it's got to be, the gaming public at large
Right.
looks for a something in 3D and something
Building
really
falling down in slow motion.
flashy,
Right.
Right.
Military guys.
Whereas I would be perfectly happy to see Fallout 4 look like Fallout 2 more than I would Fallout 3.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
I don't know if I've ever heard those complaints before. I mean, at least never on anything that we've done. I guess it's never been in people in the comments
Yeah.
like, fuck this side-scrolling nonsense. I love that shit.
Well, most of the people that listen to our show know what they're talking about. They
Okay.
know gaming, and they're immersed enough to really focus on a good game rather than it has to be the most glorious looking thing I've ever
So
seen.
you're saying it's like the kids in Back to the Future?
You gotta
too.
use your hands.
Right. That's what it's like these days, where they're like, where are the 3D explosions?
Yeah,
And they're like,
yeah, totally.
There aren't any, and they're like, that's fucking stupid. You go,
Yeah.
but it's a really good game. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. I'm kind of glad that I'm sheltered from that part of humanity. Kind of puts all the negative things that people say about things that we do in a great perspective when you can't have a.
But then again, maybe we're wrong because Minecraft was moderately successful.
Yeah.
So
When I was about 20 years old, I dated this dude who was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like a bodybuilder, like he shaved his legs, he ate turkey cold cuts.
Okay.
Just that was his meal. He just had a refrigerator full of turkey cold cuts.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 70s.
He had
kinda-
a lifting buddy.
Right.
He was beautiful.
Mhm.
The most boring motherfucker I've ever known.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that people who just want to see buildings fall down in slow motion,
Right.
the average intelligence in the United States, the IQ is like
94.
94 or
90
5.
yeah.
So maybe the people who are bitching, grain of salt.
Give them their bread and
Well,
circus.
okay.
They're
Grain of
slow.
salt.
No, wait, it makes a total amount of sense now. I just remembered Transformers made a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Brick did not.
Transformers kind of made a huge amount of money because you loved it.
That's not why it made money. It didn't make money because of me.
You didn't give any money
didn't
because
make-
you pirate shit all the time.
No, I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out.
Did
I
you
wanted
really?
to see the high definition Optimus Prime punch somebody, and then I could skip right past all the Shia LaBeouf and John Leguizamo.
No.
John Turturro.
John Turturro.
That would have
Oh.
been way better if it had been John Leguizamo instead of John Turturro.
Why did you do that? Jesus.
What? Put John Turturro in your head?
Jesus.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He's
From the Big Lebowski.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you? The Coens weren't calling? Ugh.
Oh, you're saying? I think you were talking to me. I'm
no.
like, what did
why
I?
was John Turturro in Transformers? That's what I was saying.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Why was John Turturro in Transformers? All right. Next question comes in from Steve, and Steve says, "Dear website folk." That's pretty generic. Wonder if he sent this out to a bunch of different places.
Yeah. You just blasted it out.
BCC, IGN, Giant Bomb. As a kid, I was always surrounded by video games that were provided by my parents, but they never showed any interest in them. Mum would tell me about the time she finished Arkanoid while pregnant and the anticlimax she felt completing might have done in any hope of her being interested.
Oh.
Also, while nothing too dramatic happened, I did have, quote, the conversation a few times where a parent was concerned about the amount of hours I was putting into games when high school and adulthood loomed. And one time the power cord from my original Xbox was confiscated, but they didn't realize this was easily replaced with a cord from a stereo. My question is, what was your relationship with your parents and caregivers with regard to video games? Were they supportive of the hobby, dismissive? Did they participate in games, provide games as gifts, or ever confiscate them as punishment? Thanks for reading, Steve. This is one I don't think we've answered before. I mean, we know Kevin, right? Kevin's mom was tyrannical and she didn't let him have video games. But I don't know if I've ever heard this from you or you, Allison.
No, my parents were actually very encouraging because, it's like, yeah, sure, here's a game, whatever. I had lots of video games, and then I would get like a Super Nintendo when I didn't expect it for Christmas, or a new Nintendo, when I didn't expect it for Christmas, with a power pad which I used for an hour and then folded it up and put it in the closet.
Okay.
No, my parents were they were totally great. They never got involved. They never played anything. One time, every now and then, my mother would get a wild hair up her ass, and I would have to try to teach her how to play Super Mario Brothers. That would last for about 20 minutes.
Sure.
And then she would get frustrated and leave, and my brothers and I would be like, "Oh, thank Christ! Oh, that's good." Yep. No. One of the big problems my mother would get, she would start worrying about violence. And so we would have to go for a few weeks without watching any rated R movies.
Right.
And if we were playing video games, she's like, "You better not be playing any video games where you kill people or people die." And I'm like, "No, look, they're just disappearing." It's just the rapture. And she's like, "Okay." And then it became a running joke where I would kill somebody in a game, clearly, and she's like, "They're not dying, though, right? They're just disappearing." And we would laugh, But
we all know they're actually dead.
Yeah, but that's about it. No, my parents, no, they never got into games, but they were very permissive about. I get to play whatever the hell I wanted, really.
Yeah,
Splatterhouse and all that. As long as I wasn't turning into a thug and sacrificing
burning
animals
cats
or
and shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as I wasn't doing any of that, I could watch any, I could watch I Spit on Your Grave or whatever,
Okay.
It did, or play Manhunt. It didn't matter.
You didn't get to sacrifice animals when you were little?
I did not. No. And I know you may have been allowed to, but you would not have.
No, I would not have because adorable.
You like the animals too much.
No, so my mother, I had a legion of stepfathers. One of them was a computer nerd.
Okay.
And when that stepfather existed, we had video games, but I had to wait until he wasn't playing the video games to play the video games.
Okay.
So, and that portion of my life was really good training for the rest of my life, where as the girl, you don't get to have primacy over the platform. The man in the house does, and you just have to wait till I'm no longer interested. Then you can play the little game, darling.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, my mom was not super concerned with me pretty much at all. So I would get a system. When I badgered her, 3 or 4 fights in, she would relent and buy me one. This happened with the Super Nintendo. My cousin got a Super Nintendo, and so I relentlessly, "Mom, I need this. Mom, I want this. Mom, I got to get one of these." And 3 or 4 fights in, finally, she gave up and bought me one, and I had Super Mario Brothers and
Duck Hunt.
And so
wait, regular Nintendo.
Regular Nintendo, not Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Regular Nintendo. And then I would borrow games from my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, she was not interested in me at all. So if I wanted games or if I wanted a system, I'd have to get people's hand-me-downs. So I had consoles 2 and 3 generations after they'd come out.
Mm-hmm.
I had a GameCube when I was 24.
Wow.
Because I would...
Okay.
Because I'd have to wait until I could afford to get everything myself.
Right.
Before
that was about the right time to have a GameCube.
I think that, yeah. I don't think that was too far outside of the spec.
It was past. It was
okay.
it was
So
no
maybe not
longer
24,
cool.
but yeah.
Okay, 26.
Sure, whatever.
Oh, 26. That's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Like
But
Stone Age.
When I was a kid, no, I'd have to borrow or beg or.
But the attitude towards the games was generally just one of it's fine. They didn't try to limit
Games
you.
didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Games, what I was actually consuming was irrelevant.
Okay.
It was just, what can I give you to leave me alone? What do you want so that I don't have to hear about it anymore?
Okay. Well, personally, my dad was a gamer before there were video games. He founded the chess club in his high school. He was all up into that. And then when he was in his 20s or whatever, he had friends that he would play the giant paper war games with.
Sure.
You know, these shit used to be set up in our garage. As a child, I had no idea what I was looking at. I mean, it was a map of Germany, obviously. But so then when
maybe your dad was actually staging military exercises. Maybe he was part of a terrorist cell.
I think he's too laid back for that.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
if you get drunk on the weekends and move the little pieces around is enough. So then when the computer came out, or when we got our first computer, which was a Mac, he started playing war games on there. And so it was never a thing. It was kind of the drug commercial. Like I
learned it from watching you.
but I was never confronted because I was like, I want one of those, and he was like, yeah, I probably would too. I mean, we had a knockoff, an Atari knockoff, the Gemini, when I was a kid.
The Gemini.
Then the Mac, then a PC, then the NES and Super NES, Genesis and the PC and stuff. So my parents just saw it as reward. Like, did you get your homework done? Are you making good grades? We will rent you a game on Friday. You do whatever you want to as long as you're in bed by 11 on Sunday.
I'm going to need a catheter as well, or maybe just a bucket.
So I was allowed to just sit there and play the entire weekend. They weren't like, go outside. I would just be like, we had 2 TVs and this one's mine. I called it for the entire weekend. So they would make me stop and have dinner, and then I would go back and play and then go to bed. And so it was never in any way, shape, or form. It was just a reward. And as a kid, I was so interested in continuing to play video games that I was just a really good kid all the time because I was terrified that they would ever take... like, people talk about, they took the cord away. And I'm like,
it worked.
Nobody ever took it away from me. I made straight fucking A's and did everything my parents told me because there was nothing that was going to take this shit away from me.
My precious.
But, that's the thing is you hear about these stories of your mom took the Xbox away from you and then the kid shoots his mom. And I'm like, why weren't you just good, asshole? Just be good, like E.T. said, and you won't get the NES taken away.
Yeah.
You had saved yourself all
To
that
this day,
drama.
Yeah.
To this day, Jeff sends his mother a Christmas card, said, Mom, I'm glad I never had to shoot you, Jeff.
But it's funny because my dad used to like playing those games, and he still plays a lot of Civilization. But he can't play most modern games. He just never cracked into the complexity. So, but what he'd like to do is, like, when he came down at Christmas, I would sit there and play Peggle, and he would go and get a beer out of my fridge and sit there on the couch and watch me play Peggle. And I kept, like, there was one time where at one point while I was playing Peggle, the entirety of my family, my mother and father and my sister, were all sitting on my couch just, like, mesmerized by me playing Peggle. And they kept talking about, like, well, where do we want to go to eat tonight? And then they would all kind of drift off and just be watching Peggle, and they get really into it. And I was like, guys, I can stop playing Peggle at any time.
Yeah.
This is like children's cough syrup to me, and I'm like a hardcore meth addict. I can turn Peggle off. I won't even save my game. I'll just hit the fucking button on the Xbox. I don't even give a shit.
Yeah, Peggle's good, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to time waste. It's just, it was funny watching people who don't play as many games as I do. They got really super engrossed really quickly. It was like, when Wesley Crusher has that little game on the Starship Enterprise.
Yes.
Like, if I was on that episode of the Starship Enterprise, I'd take that fucking game off whenever I want to. I'd be like, this is no fucking Skyrim, man. I've been on the holodeck fucking bitches that are 12 feet tall with 1,000,000 tits. Fucking, this shit gives you a little jolt when it shoots into your eyes. This is dog shit.
Yeah, I'd much rather be on the holodeck fucking bitches with 12 tits.
Yeah.
Million tits, 12 feet tall.
12 feet tall.
12 feet tall.
Yeah,
Tits.
bam.
Fan
Fan art. Let's see it.
Every time I see that episode of Star Trek, I'm just like, You guys live in a world with
kidding me.
a room that can literally make anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And you guys are all getting suckered in by this fucking like street drug. This is like when they huff shit, right? You guys,
Jenkem or whatever.
yeah. It's like you guys live in a world where literally you can create anything, and you've all gotten hooked on like it gives you a little shot to your pleasure center of your brain. Do you know how many hypos? Everybody's got the little fucking thing. Just put the heroin in the little Star Trek thing and then just keep shooting up all day long. Should be fine. When they went back in
Agreed.
time to when Q takes them back in time, they had the little thing attached to their shirt that had like Coke in it, where you just pull the little thing out, stick it in your nose, and do a big rail. The cops had those on Earth in the past in Star Trek. Are you guys really getting addicted to fucking the 24th century version of Arkanoid? Like, game is stupid. Stupid Star Trek game.
It was kind of Geometry Wars.
Kind of. It just looked like a dumb game. I'm like, how do you not get the little spinning disc into the giant open hole? Like, you do it one time and just go, well, this is stupid.
So we're still talking about this.
Sorry. One last question. that the episode pisses me off. One last question. This one comes in from Jeremy. Dear Internet Lords, what are your thoughts, if any, on the new ultra high-def 4K TVs? I saw one in Best Buy, and it looked amazing, but I feel as though they may go the route of the 3D television and not enter the mainstream. Keep the rage alive, Jeremy.
Yeah, wait and see. I mean, the media has got to catch up with it as well. I haven't really checked out much 4K stuff. I'd like to take a look, but yeah, 3D TVs, where the hell are those, right? So I'm curious, but I mean, there's a level of fidelity that the human eye can't even perceive. So,
right. I mean, like, I'm not seeing pixels on my HD TV or anything like that.
But still, there's the question with all of that kind of technology, and that's black. Like, TVs don't do black well.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the 4K gets around black
The
better?
muddiness, where the blacks aren't as crushed and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And if that's the case, then that'd be awesome.
I'd be
because
curious to see it. Yeah.
That's the thing. For a long time, CGI in movies that's where they fell down, was black.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing in a machine that is emitting light, so it's hard to do black.
Right.
But I'm wondering about that.
That's an interesting question.
I think I need to see something.
Absolute black. I'd want to see something that had absolute black in it.
Yeah.
I just need to see. I need to see a game running at I need to see a game running at 4K where I look at it and I'll know instantly when you see it whether you go, holy shit, I want that right now.
Yeah.
And all other TVs look like garbage from now on.
A lot of people still can't tell the difference between SD and Blu-ray. DVD and Blu-ray.
Well, for me,
or
I say that the
720 or 1080.
Yeah, the difference between 720 and 1080 to me is kind of negligible.
Right.
I mean, like, you can see it, but it's kind of like the difference between the 30 FPS and 60 FPS in games. Like, I can see that, but I know that
I can't.
You can't tell what the frame rate is. So I wonder if we're getting into the sort of thing where, I mean, if 4K is going to be a thing, everything's going to have to start doing 4K. We're going to need a new Blu-ray format that's all native 4K. We're going to need consoles that are able to go up to 4K. So I think that it might happen, but it's probably going to be 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If it catches on.
If it catches on. Oculus Rift, man. Put all those pixels right up against your eyeball.
Doesn't matter.
Boom. It's good to go. So I still can't, though. Have you guys seen an SD TV recently?
Yes, my parents still have one with a regular DVD player.
Woof.
Like, they had a CRT in the living room.
It's bad.
Like, after you've been doing this shit for a while,
It's bad.
and then you look at an SD TV and you're just like, "Oh, my eyes! How do you even look at this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you got Vaseline just shoved on top of your eyeballs the entire time.
It was bad.
So that's all the questions that we have for this week, folks. If you would like to send in a question, please send it to mail@rageselect.com. That is mail@rageselect.com. That email address should be below this video in a link on the website or in the description on YouTube. So, yeah, this has been fun, you guys.
Yay!
Let's go get drunk.